All right, everyone. We are going to get back to it. Everyone, if you could please take your seats and quiet down. I am Brandon Burton. I am the co-MC. We're going to let Chris rest his beautiful voice for a little bit. First, we want to say a big thank you to everyone who spoke this morning. Some really good talks. And we want to give a big thanks to our sponsors today, Cars.com, Cisco, Datadog, DTK.io, Microsoft, StackStorm, and Edgecast Verizon Digital Media. So thank you to them for the wonderful lunch we just had. If you can give them a shout out on Twitter, if you look at the hashtag DevOpsDayLA, myself and Jordan, a couple of people have tweeted them with all the various Twitter accounts, so they'll see that. All right, we're going to kick it off. We got some more talks, lightning talks. We got a great panel at 3. But we're going to kick things off with James Fryman, going to talk about some DevOps lessons. James, you want to come on up? Can you give him a round?
Oh, so I have to make sure I'm logged onto the Wi-Fi apparently. Hold on. All right. Hello. Hi. Hi, everybody. Belly full? Everybody good? All right. Thank you very much for taking time out of your wonderful lives to come and hang out at wonderful conferences like this. I'm equally humbled that you all have chosen to spend the next 30 minutes sitting in this room with me. Hopefully I'll make it worth your while. If not, please direct all criticisms to @jfryman on Twitter. All right. So what I want to talk today a little bit about is I want to talk about the DevOps journey. I've been doing this for a while. Everybody's been doing this for a while, right? And we're all still kind of figuring out what's going on. We're trying to guess. We're making mistakes. We're learning as we go. We're talking about it. We're collaborating with each other. But I made this deck because I actually wanted to have a little bit of real talk with some folks. Because I've been having a lot of conversations recently with people I would consider very intelligent, very smart. And we're having the wrong conversations, unfortunately. And what those conversations revolve around today, like if you have a discussion with your friends or your colleagues around the bar or whatnot, or at work, the conversations are always around a tool, right? The newest, coolest, hottest, awesomest thing, right? I love to play with tools just as much as the next person. I hope you do too. But that's not what makes DevOps DevOps, right? I also hate the term DevOps as a general rule because it's been co-opted by marketing. So let's just kind of put all of these things aside for just a second and talk about our inherent bias, right, as technologists, is to think about the tools. But in reality, we have to be thinking about people and process. And these things get really bad raps in most organizations and most places today because these are management problems. These are problems for the business guy. These are problems for not me, right? I'm working with the tools. I'm working with the auto-scaling stuff. I'm creating the newest, hottest, next version of the internet. So I don't need any of this stuff. But this gets us into problems, right? This gets us into lone wolf syndrome, which if you're an operations person, that's kind of a big problem for us, right? Because we don't collaborate as well as we could. It gets us into conversations where we're not making really good decisions about how we build sustainable infrastructure, right? We're doing rapid iteration. We're creating all of these new things. But if I turn away from it for a moment, it falls apart, right? That's not good either, right? We have a lot to do. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff. We have a lot of things that we should do better and more of. Because we don't want to lose sight of the forest because all these trees are in front of us. So over the last couple years, I've been trying to collect some of these lessons learned about what makes good, successful implementations of DevOps in an organization. What works, what doesn't work, how do you help adoption, things that you should stay away from, far away from. And that's what I want to talk about today. So, hello, my name's James Fryman. I work at StackStorm. We're a sponsor. We're glad to be here. Thank you very much for having us. We are at booth 76. I would love to talk to you about what we do. Quick nutshell, what we do is event-driven automation. It's awesome. I want to talk to you about it. Come see us, 76. But so let's dive in. The first idiom is DevOps is not a technology problem. DevOps is a business problem, okay? And as a general rule, in order for successful DevOps to occur, you have to start thinking about how do I empower people that aren't me, that aren't in my immediate team, and aren't in my immediate organization, right? The power of DevOps is when you take all of this awesome that's in your head and you codify it so that people who don't have that awesome in their head can use it, right? Making them more powerful with the tools that you're creating, right? So there's like a maturity model where the first step is make my job less painful, right? Automate some stuff away. Then the second step is make my job even less painful so I can just not even care. Just things happen, right? And a lot of people just stop there. My job's good, I'm happy, everything's kosher. But that's not how you get people buy-in to a lot of the cool tools that we're doing. It's not how you get buy-in to a lot of the cool processes that we should be building. So I broke it down into 3 main points, and I want to kind of go into those. And the first of which is you have to own it from end to end. You have to own, what does DevOps mean for you, for your company, for your organization? What does this mean, right? In order to win, you have to own it end to end. And the first bit of that is you have to make it accessible. Making it accessible is kind of a really interesting idea that I've been playing around with recently. How do you implement UX kind of decisions into command line arguments or ways people interact with websites, right? I have seen some atrocious, great example, Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville, Tennessee has the most atrocious web interface for managing hospital records. They basically have to, like, 20 iframes they have to drag around and use, and it's a mess, and nobody likes it. Every time you walk in, the nurses are upset about it, the doctors are upset about it. Nobody likes it. Yet that's what they're stuck with, because nobody's thinking about holistically. How do you make the nurses more powerful with the technology? Right? How do you make the doctors more powerful with the technology? And one of the ways that has been very successful, in my opinion, has been ChatOps. So, quick show of hands, who has heard of ChatOps? Awesome. Who is doing ChatOps? Even less people. Okay. That's good. There's a lot of room for here. So real quick, what is ChatOps? ChatOps is working to bring the work that you're already doing into the context of the conversations you're already having. Okay? Let me say that one more time. The work you're already doing, bring it into the context of the conversations you're already having. Right? Chat rooms exist. Most companies have them. There are conversations already happening. So what happens if I suddenly created some mechanism that the commands to go do things can happen in the same chat room I'm having conversations with? Things get really crazy when this happens. People start collaborating, moving a lot faster, and it turns out the feedback loop that exists in organizations today diminishes immensely. Right? Think about a typical deployment in an organization that's broken. There's some sort of change control, right? Then there's a change control board. Maybe you have to do risk analysis. Then maybe you have some meetings, you all agree to it. Then you have to ship some code to somebody through email. Then maybe or maybe not, somebody will go into a black box. They will do some work, and then they'll come back and say, hey, it didn't work. And how long did that take? Like days sometimes, weeks even, right? Feedback cycles suck this way. But with ChatOps, right, suddenly now you're bringing all of this into the conversation that you're already having, and you're getting instantaneous feedback. I need to do this deploy of this new code. I'm gonna just execute this command right now in the chat room. And you're gonna see the same thing that I see. We're all gonna have the same context, we're all gonna have the same data, and now we can all get moving. Conversation and the feedback loops happen really fast this way. It's awesome. I have a talk on ChatOps. If you'd like to see it, it's on speakerdeck.com/jfryman. I go into really great depth about what ChatOps is, how to get started with it, and even our platform StackStorm has some really cool integrations with this. So come talk to us about that. But I do want to kind of highlight like the process about how you get methodology change in. And ChatOps is a really good way to kind of break this down. So how do you do it? The first of which is you have to make some sort of quick interface. Like, what is the thing you get bugged with most in any given day, right? Is it create a new user? You know, is it do a log rotate on a bunch of servers? Is it whatever it is? Pick something, low-hanging fruit, and create a very simple command in your chat room that then can be executed. And then, when somebody comes in and says, hey, I need you to do X, which you're going to do anyway, because that's your job, you do it. right in front of them in the chat room, and they see it. Cool, right? They're happy, you're happy, everybody's happy. Work's gets done. But what happens, what's really cool, is you keep doing this. You don't go flashy with it. You don't say, hey, I got this new cool chat ops thing. You ever heard of this? Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. They want their job to get done. But now what they're doing is they're seeing you execute this command in chat. Oh, that's cool. So you do it again, and you do it again. Maybe you do it 5 times, maybe you do it 10 times, maybe you do it 20 times. Eventually, somebody's going to put it together that every time they drop into this chat room and ask you to do X, you type this command in and it gets done. The day will come when somebody comes to you and says, hey, can I type that command in? Yes, please, do it. And that's when things get wild. Let me tell you 2 stories about this, real world examples. I have a colleague of mine who worked at a credit card printing company, right? So he had a lot of money available to him. They got to come from somewhere, right? So he worked at a credit card printing company, and they came up with this new business line where instead of having this central location where they printed all the credit cards, they created a product that they shipped out, a card printer, to banks. So you could walk into your bank, say, hey, I need my new credit card, and they go, okay, and out comes your brand new credit card. No waiting, no fuss, nothing. It's awesome. Well, part of the product offering is that they needed to make sure that their customers had continual card stock, that they had the appropriate amount of ink, that they were connected to the servers that did access validations, the HSMs on the back end, right? Had to do all of these things. So CSRs would constantly come in and bug my friend. Hey, what's the status of the printer? Hey, what's the status of the printer? Hey, does it have card stock? Hey, all day. I know you know what this is. All day. Well, if you're like me and subscribe to the lazy administrator kind of view of the world, you don't want that, right? So he wrote a simple command. He walked through his chat logs and looked at the 10 different ways that people ask the same questions and wrote a very simple interface to respond in chat. So they would drop into this room and ask him the same question they did every day, and then suddenly the bot answers. Awesome! It took him less than a week and nobody was bugging him about that anymore, right? That's a win. That's putting power right back into the hands of the people who need it, the people who are driving business value, keeping the customers live, right? That's cool. That's enablement. That's what DevOps is. Second story. The power of what you can actually do here, right? This starts small. This is a very simple example, and this is a good way to start too, right? Start passively. Do things that don't break anything, right? Go get informational data and bring it into the chat room. However, your appetite's going to grow, and you're going to want to do bigger and better things. What if I told you chat ops could do things like change your BGP routes? How would you feel about that? A bunch of network guys I know get really scared. But we had an incident about a year and some change ago. Another colleague of mine, Mark Imbriaco, was on the way to the airport to talk at Velocity about chat ops, incidentally. And as he's getting into the taxi, he gets an alert. Crap, we're getting DDoSed. Normally, if you're on an on-call organization, that basically means either you're in the taxi cab the whole way typing, right, if you're on call, or you're just, kind of like watching the email and just hoping to God the thing comes back, right? Please come back. Please come back. Well, no. Instead, my buddy pulls out his phone, unlocks it, types one command into our chat room, and a bunch of things started happening. BGP routes were changed to the upstream scrubber. We notified the people who were on call, the incident commanders, about what was going on. We let our customer know what was breaking and what we were doing to fix it. We started an incident log that started tracking all the things that we were doing to repair the situation and let him know in feedback, hey, I just did all these things. It took about 30 seconds, one command from his phone. Mark did not type on the way to the airport. He just watched his phone and watched the chat go by as the bot fixed things. That's power. That's awesome. Awesome. You want this. All day. So what ends up happening is you create these very small primitives, right? This one introspection thing, this one introspection thing, this one thing that hooks into my ticketing system, this one thing that hooks into my network. And then the primitives start. And then you chain the primitives together, and then really awesome things happen. And now I feel comfortable giving somebody who is not a hardcore network person the ability to go and mitigate entire DDoS attacks of huge magnitude, because we've codified that. I'm not a MySQL guy, right? I know how to use it. I can break it really awesomely fast. Yeah, I saw that, yeah. I can break it really fast. So what I don't want is I don't want to have to go call a MySQL guy or a DBA every time that I have a problem. What if the DBA took the time and wrote down the 10 commands that are necessary to do failovers or do backups and restores and made them available as chat? Now everybody's more powerful as a result of this. Everybody's more powerful, right? Everybody wins. And you just do this. You rinse and repeat. And eventually you get a beer, pat yourself on the back, you did a good job. But this doesn't happen overnight, right? Take some time. And I liken it to building hammers. So I have a ton of stories. I'm going to always tell stories. If you want to hear more stories, come find me, booth 76. I'll say that twice more, I'm sorry. But hammers are important, right? I have another friend of mine who has a blacksmith friend, and he was hanging out with him one day and said, you know, I want to build a sword today. The blacksmith said, okay, we can do that. So they sat down, and they started working on the first hammer. This is the problem. You have to define the problem before you know what you're solving, right? This is the spike. This is the trial. This is the, I'm not sure what problem I'm solving or how well I'm going to do at it, but I need something. First hammer. After the first hammer gets made, my buddy goes to the blacksmith and says, okay, let's make a sword. He says, nope, not yet. We have to build a second hammer. And the second hammer is after you put and battle tested these initial spikes, right? You've gone through, you've given it to users, they've given you some amount of feedback, could be constructive, could not be, right? And hopefully they're using it, but it's going to break. It's a brittle hammer. So you use this first hammer to build the second hammer, and you continue to iterate. You continue to iterate. You learn about what people need and how they want them, right? The organization grows, and you will find, as you start to codify these things, they will be absorbed into this giant knowledge base. It's really cool how this happens. But yet, we're not done yet. Goes to the blacksmith and says, hey, I want to build a hammer. He says, nope, not quite yet. We have to build the awesome hammer. So use the second hammer to build the third hammer. And that's the one you go build the sword with, right? That's the I have hit Mecca with this chatops command or this implementation detail. I don't have to mess with it so much anymore. There may be times when you may want to change the color or repair a thing. That's fine. But the quick and rapid iteration, that's the key, right? Going through and accepting user feedback as fast as you possibly can, iterating on that hammer and giving it back to them. Right? Reduce the drag. Give them the tools to be powerful. They'll respond. It's amazing. It's amazing. The second thing that I think is truly important that we often lose sight of is you have to know the code. I'm still amazed by how many operations folks that I talk to that don't really ever look at the code that they're keeping running. Right? I don't know how this happens still. And if you're one of those people, I challenge you, get familiar with the code that you're running, right? Know it, play with it, break it. It's Play-Doh. Understand what's happening. Because the key on this portion is now you want to be able to have real conversations with the developers, right? We always talk about this DevOps wall, right? Or this wall that DevOps is trying to break down, right? Here's the ops guys, here's the developers guys, and there's this ugly wall here in the middle you've got to break down. But by you taking the time and understanding how the code works, where the failure points are, even adding code to it, you now have better context to go have those conversations with the people who are maintaining and writing the real code. That's how the wall comes down, is you getting more familiar with them and creating an empathy. And in return, you providing the tools with chatops, now they've got the operational side. This is the convergence, right? This is the communication. This is the process. This is what matters. Having the same language is hugely important. So know your code, right? Get into it. It's awesome. Also, continually improve yourself. Always, always, always. This is the plan, do, check, act cycle. Basically, don't ever sit on your laurels, right? Companies are always evolving. Businesses are always evolving. Processes are always evolving. How many times do you have a process that's still in your organization that's from yesteryear that's just there because it's been there forever, right? And it just causes you angst and pain and horribleness, and nobody wants to touch it because it's a behemoth over there. Well, then you get more debt and more debt and more debt, and you have to continually care about this. Continually go through, know what's going on with your processes, analyze them, and cut the crud, right? You're trying to speed up the feedback cycle. That's the key. That's the key. Second piece is you have to grow this. So you're owning it end to end. Now you've got to grow it internally. And I like to do this. I think it's hugely important of all the things that we're doing in our, like we're coming into a revolution of sorts within operations where, data-driven everything is really important, right? Graphing is cool again. Logging is cool again, right? Awesome. We're very excited about this. But why is it just for me? Could the finance people use my graphite server? I hope so. Are they? I challenge you, right? Do they know how much cash is coming in? And can they go graph it and pull it up in ChatOps? They should, right? How can they use the same tools that you use? They're going to give you the feedback, and they're going to become more powerful just by using the same tool set that you use on your daily basis. So again, how can you take your day-to-day and the things that make you more powerful and give it to somebody else? Build them an interface that they can then use and access to be awesome, like everybody. That's your goal. Make everybody awesome. Also, team scaling is hugely important. By doing all of these things, you're exponentially improving how people can operate. You're exponentially improving the speed at which delivery occurs. You're exponentially increasing the knowledge of everybody by codifying this and making it available for everybody. Come play in my sandbox. It's cool. The water's great. It's fun. It's awesome. Continual team scaling is hugely important. This is important because Conway's law comes into play here. And Conway's law talks about how software internally starts to model communication structures, right? The communication structure of a company is often modeled and codified within applications. It's weird how that happens. If you're not familiar enough with this and you're not aware that the things that you're codifying, you're capturing and basically capturing company culture in code, how people talk, how they communicate. If you're not aware of this, it will bite you when the company goes to make changes. It's hard to make an organizational change when the software holds you back. Who's been part of that before? Right? Suddenly now you're fighting the software and you really have to get going. So you need to stay on top of this. Be aware of the impact of what codifying things do into your software, right? So that when the conversations happen about organizational change, you're ready to be part of that conversation, right? You're not the cost center. You're the enabler. You're the person helping drive the change because you're aware of the intricacies of how these things are modeled. That's important, hugely important. Hugely important. And this is another thing. You got to train the future too. Woot, thank you. Always be training. ABT, always be training, right? We talk about unicorns all day long. Everybody wants to be the mythical, awesome unicorn. You know what I want? I want 20 really awesome people behind me just doing cool things. I don't want a unicorn. I want everybody to be awesome. Maybe that's just, horses, right? But that means you have to spend the time. And you have to grow the future, right? Find somebody in your organization who's super excited about what you're doing with this stuff. And just mentor them. Just throw everything you can at them and watch it grow. Sometimes it won't work, sometimes it will. But you try. The lack of trying is not an excuse. You have to spend time with new people. And then share it, right? Sharing is hugely important. It's the same thing. Grow it internally, train new people, and do things like what we're doing right now, right? Go talk to the community. Go write code and share it with people. One person didn't put a man on the moon. A group of people put the man on the moon, right? We are all smarter than one of us. Share the knowledge that you've got. Share it internally with your organization, how the things that you're doing are helping drive change, how you're helping empower other people, and how you can help other people outside of your organization empower themselves as well. And this is where the process part comes in, right? Process gets a hugely bad rap all the time, right? Who's been bitten by the ITIL bug? Yeah. Who's been successfully bitten by the ITIL bug? Right. Okay. There you go. I actually like ITIL. I really do. But the problem is what gets lost in implementations like ITIL or process implementation as a general rule is we're doing it because this is the way we've always done it, right? Or this is the way that some expert said we should do it, as opposed to really evaluating and understanding how and why you're doing the things you're doing, right? Evaluate your processes. Be aware of what things are happening in these processes. Understand what are your value adds, the things that you have to do. The things that are non-value add necessary, like it's one thing to provision a server. It's another thing for that server to be serving assets and getting business, right? Provisioning a server is a means to an end. That's the non-value add necessary. And then there's going to be things in here that are just not necessary at all. I really like to do this exercise with, sticky notes. Just get a wall, write out your processes and individual steps, and put them in sticky notes. It becomes very apparent very quickly the things you can just pull off, and the process still works. Pull it off, and the process still works. Always be doing this. Always be doing this. And one of the last things is we can't be heroes. This is a really great Twitter quote earlier this week, or maybe last week. It says, if you praise firefighters, you will breed arsonists. Right? I don't want to be a hero getting woken up all the time. Right? I want good work-life balance. I want to be able to go hang out with my friends and family at the bar or the beach or whatever I do, right? That means that all of these things kind of come together. There can't be one hero. It has to be a team of solid people. Don't be a hero. If you're a hero, analyze that. Why are you the hero? Figure out how to fix that. Number one career killer, I promise, over time. Maybe good in the short term. It's never good in the long term. And always be a force multiplier, right? Always be force multiplying. Know that everything that you do every day should be to make somebody else as cool, as awesome as you are. Always. Know that you're awesome and share it with people. Be the force multiplier. Find your team. Find the people around you to help power you up, to help build you up, to help grow these things. So, running out of time. Let's kind of wrap it up real quick. Things to keep in mind. Always mind the forest. Don't forget about the trees, but be mindful of the forest. Know that it's there. Own it. Share it. Grow it. Fundamentally, change the game. Don't be a cost center. Don't be a victim. Be the enabler. Drive change. Be the person that comes in and says, this is how I make everybody more awesome. That's all I have. I think I have like a minute left. Do I have like a minute for questions, or should I just get off? I'm out. Thank you. Questions. 76, Stack Storm. Did I say it twice more? 76, Stack Storm. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you so much, James. That was excellent.